Alright, you guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I want to talk a little bit about Dragon Ball Z Kakarot. We have no idea what's going on with this game. Are they done supporting it? Or do they still have DLCs planned for the future? There isn't this roadmap to go off of, so this is why I find today's video topic to be very interesting to discuss. Without further ado, make sure to drop a like on today's video, turn on post notifications, subscribe if you're new around here. I'll greatly appreciate it. And I actually want to go back to Battle Hour 2026. This happened last month. Obviously, DBZ Kakarot was nowhere to be found, but all the other current Dragon Ball games are in play. Xenoverse 2 with Future Saga Chapter DLC 4 on the horizon. Sparking Zero with the giant super limit breaking Nero DLC. They even brought back fighters with Super Saiyan 4 Dama Goku, Gekishin Squadra, Dokkan Battle, Legends. They're still going strong, even the TCG games, Masters and Fusion Worlds, right? With the additional cards, whatever it may be. They even confirmed Dragon Ball Xenoverse 3. But where was Kakarot? Now, to be fair, it kind of makes sense why Kakarot didn't make an appearance at Battle Hour 2026, because about 3 months ago, we got the final chapter of Daima, Parts 2, with adult Super Saiyan 4 Goku and Super Saiyan 3 Vegeta. And usually, whenever they do have a roadmap planned, like Season Pass 1, Season Pass 2, or even the Daima packs, it takes around several months up to a year for them to drop the next DLC. And since Daima Parts 2 only dropped 3 months ago, maybe they're just not ready or prepared to announce that next DLC for Kakarot. So again, it makes sense why the game did not make an appearance at Battle Hour 2026, but this just got me thinking. With the recent announcement of the Dragon Ball Super Enhanced Edition, they confirmed the Beerus Saga at Genkidama Matsuri, and they even teased the Golden Frieza Saga at Battle Hour 2026 with the new Beerus trailer, right? We got the confirmation right here. Those two sagas are the only ones confirmed at the time of recording this video. However, there is a rumor or leak going around, I'm assuming by reputable sources. I haven't looked too much into it. They're also going to be remaking the Universe 7 versus Universe 6 saga as well, which does make sense to me because, let's be honest, the first 3 sagas of Dragon Ball Super, they're the ones that desperately need a remake because of the horrendous animations and art styles within some of the episodes, correct? Now, we still have to wait for that official confirmation in regards to Universe 7 versus Universe 6, but I feel like that's going to be the case. I mean, it's pretty evident that they're going to be remaking every saga of original Dragon Ball Super. Now, there's another rumor going around saying that we might not be getting the Goku Black arc and the Tournament of Power saga as fast as the first 3 previous saga remakes, because the rumor is that they're focusing more on the Galactic Patrol saga. Full-on production is on that Moro arc, which I'll be honest, I'm kind of happy to hear that because that's just the continuation of Dragon Ball Super. We haven't necessarily seen that yet animated, so that's great stuff. Shoutouts to DBS Hype for sharing. Glad to know the Moro arc's production is going well, but it's a bummer that the Goku Black arc might not get a remaster. Now, that's not to say that the Goku Black arc, even the Tournament of Power arc, might not ever get a remaster. DBS Hype followed up with notes. Might not happen immediately after the Universe 6 remake, but it could come between the Moro and Granola sagas, just to fill in the gaps. So just to reiterate, the Goku Black and Tournament Power remake sagas could very well happen after the Moro arc, which I believe is going to be dropping sometime during 2027. So with all that being said, since we are getting the DBS anime remasters, and since we are getting the manga arc adaptations, is it possible to get Dragon Ball Super content in DBZ Kakarot? This is the points for today's video. Again, we don't know what's going on with the game, or better yet, is it possible to get a whole ass sequel and titling the game Dragon Ball Super Kakarot? We're going to go ahead and break down both paths that they could take. First, we're going to be talking about the DBS content in DBZ Kakarot, then we'll go over the whole Dragon Ball Super Kakarot video game genre, if you will. So, since we already have the Battle of Gods and Resurrection of F DLCs, they were parts of Season Pass 1. By the way, I am calling this Season Pass 4 because Season Pass 1 is a thing, Season Pass 2 is a thing. They didn't necessarily call Dama Pack Season Pass 3, but we'll just go along with it, right? Why not? So anyway, we got the first two Super sagas, which does make sense because first, Battle of Gods and Resurrection of F were Z films. So they should just continue with the Universe 6 saga. Then move on with Future Saga. And last but not least, the Tournament of Power. This will conclude the entire Dragon Ball Super anime, at least, you know, the one that's done with right now. Not the whole Super storyline, because we still got the manga adaptations, but, you know, the one that ended back in 18 was it? I can't necessarily remember. Right? That would be kind of cool for a Season Pass 4, because typically there's 3 DLCs per Season Pass. This will be the first route they could take. Just incorporates the super content in Z Kakarot. Now, the second route that I personally would like to take would be the whole Dragon Ball Super Kakarot video game. This is pretty straightforward. I went ahead and just built this visual for you guys. The main game would be what the anime is, but this time around, instead of that random Battle of Gods DLC they did for Z Kakarot, it will be more accurate to the source material, a bit more accurate to the manga, to the movie, anime, and maybe even that remake, right? That's another reason why I feel like a Super Kakarot could happen maybe around 2028, 2029, sometime after 2027, because obviously Dragon Ball Xenoverse 3 is going to be the game for 2027. We don't know what's going to be happening beyond that for 2028 or 2029. This is where a potential Dragon Ball Super could take place. And going back to the remakes, I know that's happening at the end of this year, 2026, but the Moro saga, the Galactic Patrol arc, is happening 2027. So I could see that Dragon Ball Super video game, you know, 2028, and they will kind of coexist with each other, because the Moro arc is just the beginning. We still have the Granola arc for them to adapt, the superhero saga that does take place after the Granola arc, believe it or not, even though we have the movie beforehand. I digress. So the Battle of Gods and Resurrection of F sagas in the Super Kakarot video game will be a bit more canon to the source material instead of the random story that they decided to give us. We did get the main story, main plots, if you will, with the God transformations, the blue forms, Goku versus Beerus. However, they went ahead and threw in some extra stuff like Super Saiyan God Vegeta versus Beerus. That was cool. Besides these two, we would then get the Universe 6 arc. Ooh, since all these sagas would be developed by CyberConnect 2, well, the entire game, the cutscenes, the storyline, it will just be a 10 out of 10 experience. And since these won't necessarily be a DLC pack for Z Kakarots, again, we're talking about the whole Super Kakarot video game, right? If they ever make one. These sagas will be more story driven, a bit more in depth, because the DLCs typically they only last 40 minutes to a couple hours if you decide to do everything the DLC has to offer with the sub quests. But going back to the actual game, the sagas would just be a bit more one-to-one to the actual anime. The next arc obviously would be the Rose Goku Black. I feel like they could do something different with this specific saga. You guys know with DLC Pack 3 for Z Kakarot, the history of Trunks, how we got the normal stuff with Future Gohan, the androids, but beyond that, there was a third segment. We got to see a little bit more of the Majin Buu saga of Future Trunks' timeline, right? So Supreme Kai, appeared with Kabito Kai. They trained Trunks. They took him over to the Supreme Worlds. Then they stopped Deborah, Bibbidi or Bobbidi. They didn't necessarily hatch Majin Buu from the egg. You know, Trunks did his thing. We even got Super Saiyan 2. We did get to see a little bit of that in Dragon Ball Super, but it wasn't the best. They covered that specific era of Future Trunks' timeline better in the manga, and again here in DBZ Kakarot. So for the Super Kakarot video game, it would be cool if they would adapt things that happen more from the manga. So we should be able to see that Super Saiyan Goku Black. We should be able to get that mastered, perfected Super Saiyan Blue Goku with the Hakai, right? And even Super Saiyan God Vegeta. God Vegeta's debut was during the Future Trunks saga. In the anime format, it was the Dragon Ball Super Broly movie. But, you know, if they decide to follow the manga a little bit more, we could potentially see all of that during this saga, and that would probably be the best. Speaking of the best, we have the actual best, the Tournament of Power saga. Woo! Same thing. You know, either follow the anime or take some stuff or storylines from the manga, like the Gohan versus Kefla showdown. That could be peak, bro. But everything else, Full Power Jiren, God Destruction Toppo, Dispo, Hit, God Goku, you know, Kefla, the Universe 6 Saiyans, Kaba. What else do we have? Ultra Instinct Goku with UI Sign. Now, you notice that we have this Season Pass content, bottom right corner, because of course, with every Dragon Ball game, there has to be DLCs. Oh, and mind you, notice how I decided to go with the updated logo? Yeah, the blue one instead of the traditional golds. Here we have the Season Pass category. Now, you could argue that the Dragon Ball Super Broly and even the superhero movies have been out long enough that they could very well be part of the base game. If we take a look at Sparking Zero, for example, they included the DBS Broly characters and variants of Goku, Vegeta, and Broly in the original game. And then for the first DLC for Sparking Zero, it was Superhero. Since a potential Super Kakarot won't come out until 2028, 2029, 2030, whatever it may be, yeah, I could see DBS Broly and Superhero being part of the original game. But just for the sake of today's video and the Season Pass, I just went ahead and separate the two. So first DLC would be that Super Broly. Yeah, I could see that being extremely short, right? Because you just go up against Broly, right? We have some story to it with Planet Vegeta at the start of the episode or story. Chilai, Lemo, they're cool. But it's mainly just Goku and Vegeta versus Broly. With the Fused Warrior, Metamor and Fusion Dance, Gogeta, that could be a thing, you know. After you complete the DLC, we get to fuse into Gogeta post-contents. That's how it is right now with current DBZ Kakarot. We get to fuse into Vegito because we completed the main storyline. You know what I mean? Now going over to Superhero DLC, this would be the second DLC within the Season Pass. Now, I think I already said this in the video. The Superhero does take place after the events of the Moro arc, the Granola arc, the Frieza Black segment within the Granola arc, you know what I mean? So, however they want to decide the order, if they want to put the Superhero DLC for the last one within the Season Pass, or, you know, since the movie came out first in real life, maybe it could be the second DLC. I'm not sure how they're going to be going about it, but yeah, getting that Beast Gohan Awoken skill. Ooh, the Orange Piccolo, dang! And then going up against the Giant Cell Max for the boss mission. The storyline, again, being developed by CyberConnect 2, so all the cutscenes will be top tier stuff. The third DLC would be the Moro arc, which again, the anime is going to be dropping sometime 2027. So when this game does, or if it comes out in 2030 or whatever, yeah, it could be potential DLC. Now, I do think a Dragon Ball Super will happen. I probably should have said this sooner in the video, but a perfect example, Dragon Ball Xenoverse 3. You guys know how we stuck with Xenoverse 2 for a whole decade, and I kept saying, Xenoverse 3 will eventually happen. We just don't know when. Same vibes for Dragon Ball Super Kakarot. I do believe a Super Kakarot will happen, just don't know exactly when. And then eventually we got that Xenoverse 3 announcement. So hopefully, eventually we will get that Dragon Ball Super Kakarot announcement. You know what I mean? This is why I'm doing this. The yeah, Moro arc with the true Ultra Instinct. What else did we get in this saga? I don't know. Not too caught up with the manga, but this is why we're getting the anime adaptations. And plus, they usually start to adapt the anime into video game content, right? This is why we haven't seen Ultra Ego Vegeta or Frieza Black, Granola, Gas, or Moro in Sparking Zero or any other Dragon Ball video game, because they don't take manga exclusive content until we get that anime adaptation. So again, it does make sense for Super Kakarots to happen after the Moro saga and put that for the DLC, along with, you know, the Granola arc being DLC eventually after that airs, because in 2030, when this potential Dragon Ball Super drops, I'm assuming a Granola arc would be out at the time. I don't know, it's just nothing but pure theories and speculation. So the fourth DLC would be the Granola arc, and yeah, that's essentially it, with Gas and Frieza Black, correct? Now, as I mentioned before, typically a season pass for Kakarot only has 3 DLCs, but we have 4 here. So, I don't know, they could change the rules, or why not? Let me know down below in the comments what you guys think about a potential Super Kakarot. Would you guys prefer them to finish up the Super anime arcs within Z Kakarot's Universe 6 Saga, Future Trunks Tournament? Then we'll have the whole Super Story anime, because again, we got the Battle of Gods and Resurrection of F for the first 2 DLCs. Or would you prefer them to just save these story sagas for an actual Dragon Ball Super Kakarot video game? I'm happy with either way they go, but at the end of the day, I would prefer a Dragon Ball Super Kakarot. And again, I do think one will eventually happen. This being the base game, and then the potential DLCs. As I said before, Broly and Superhero could be part of the base game, just because that's like the norm these days. This is it for today's video. Thank you guys for the immense support as always, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace!